Gwa'sala Nakwaxda'xw, I am Jessie Hemphill, from the Gwa'sala Nakwaxda'xw Nations, and I'm here to talk to you about Indigenous planning, which is what I do for work. We're here in the Jessie Reserve, which is the home reserve for the Gwa'sala Nakwaxda'xw Nations, next to the town of Port Hardy. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what Indigenous planning is, why Indigenous or local planning is really valuable, how other types of planning have been harmful for Indigenous people, and share with you some stories about my community. Maybe you're wondering what a planner does. Planners help the community figure out where to put all kinds of things: houses, streets, playgrounds, schools, stores, elder centers, drop-in centers, ceremonial places like longhouses, and all the other places we need to live together in a community. I'm here on a site where there's been a lot of recent community planning. I'm here with a few community members, and I want to tell you what Indigenous planning is. Indigenous planning is basically any planning done by Indigenous people for Indigenous communities. And Indigenous planning is something that Indigenous folks all over the world have been doing since time immemorial. Every Indigenous community has a slightly different way of doing planning because they might have a different culture, a different landscape, a different size. Some Indigenous communities are right in the heart of cities or big communities, while others of us are kind of out in the boonies or out in the wilderness a little bit more. Some communities are really big with thousands and thousands of members, and others are tiny with maybe just a handful. But at the end of the day, it's about taking care of your community members, taking care of their well-being, taking care of the land and the waters and all the living creatures that live here, including us. For some communities, there might be a lot of living knowledge about how we used to plan and how we need to take that knowledge and use it in modern times. For other communities, there might not be as much knowledge about those old ways of planning, and so nations are figuring it out for themselves, and Indigenous planners are figuring it out for themselves. And no matter what it looks like, if Indigenous communities or Indigenous people are doing planning, it's Indigenous planning. Now we're going to head over to a spot that will help me talk a little bit about the harm that non-Indigenous planning can do to Indigenous people and how we're getting back to taking control over our own planning for our own communities. Indigenous people must be involved in planning for our own people and our own communities, and for tens of thousands of years, the Gwa'sala Nakwaxda'xw did just that in our homelands across the water behind me. But about 100 years ago, the Government of Canada decided that they had the right to plan for us, and decided that we should move here to the Jessie Reserve. They planned this community and set aside money for it without ever coming here in person, and didn't know that there was all this rock that you see behind me. And so instead of that money going towards the water, the sewer, the houses, and all the beautiful things that a community needs, it went to blasting this rock to make it suitable for building. 200 people from my community showed up to 4 unfinished houses because of bad planning, and it took a long time to heal from the harm that caused. Our leaders knew that in order to heal our community, we needed to take back control of our own planning again. Behind me is the Gwa'sala Nakwaxda'xw Elementary School, a beautiful example of this. Our community members got together over many meetings to decide how to create a space that would bring back our culture and take care of our kids now and for future generations. Because of planning together, this school is a place where our community can come together, share our dances, our language, and change over time to meet the needs of our community as it grows. School hasn't always been safe for Indigenous children, but because our community planned and built this school, it has been safe for generations of children, including me. The teachers are loving, the community can come and gather, and it's a safe place to learn and practice our culture. Part of planning is recognizing that our community needs change over time, and this school is a good example of that too. As our community has grown, there are many more children than when the school was originally built. And so our community has planned for extensions and a new daycare, which is going up just across the field. This daycare will be a place where elders come in and speak the language with the children, again, where our culture is expressed, and it's a safe place for those young generations. And so because of our good planning, this community has the amenities we need to take care of children for now and future generations. Now that we've been here for almost 50 years, we know how to use this land to take care of ourselves and plan accordingly. One of the most exciting things that's happened for our community in a long time happened just last week when we broke ground right in this spot for the big house that's going to be built here. It will be the first one since we moved over from our homelands, and not only will it be a place to bring our culture back to life, but it will be a place to revitalize our own planning ways in the big house that happens among our families, and I can't wait. It's a really good time to be a planner, and if you want to be a planner, there's so many different options for you. Number one is to get to know your own community and knowledge keepers. Talk to your elders, talk to the planners from your community, and learn what planning practices are unique to your people. If you want, you can also go to university to be a planner. There are universities all over Canada where you can learn planning, even Indigenous planning, which is something that I teach at a couple of universities. No matter how you get there, we're all planners at heart, looking at how we can take care of those future generations, and I know that you will play your part. So, halak yasla, goodbye. Thank you so much, Questers, for being with us today to talk about Indigenous planning.